Hi, welcome. My name is Cindy. This is Fit and Thriving with Cindy. And today, Yoga for Flexibility is going to be working on hips. This little furry lump in front of me, this is Otis, my pup. I adopted him when he was about 10, and he's probably 11 and a half now. So he might get in our way, just heads up. We're going to start in a comfortable seated position. If you want to sit with your legs truly crossed where the legs rest on the feet, that's fine. I think this is called tiger pose. Don't quote me on that. If you come out a little flatter, that is up to you and your comfort level. If you have a blanket, you can sit on the blanket. I would have blocks and straps for some of the poses that we get into. But we're going to start in this seated position. We're going to inhale, bring the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, roll them back and down. Again, inhale, lift up. Exhale, release, back and down. Again, inhale, lift up. Exhale, back and down. One more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, back and down. When you leave them where they belong, we're going to start with making circles with the body. We've done this one before. Just make rotations. So you're moving through sort of cat-cow, C shapes. Let the head come in. Let the torso, whole body arch. Round, moving in one direction. We're not trying to go too fast. We're just going to bring movement to the body. And then you're going to find a stop point and you're going to go in the other direction. Same thing, other direction. Make your way through the circles. Two more passes. And find your stop point. From here, we'll do some twists. You're welcome to keep the legs just as they are. If you like to switch the cross of your legs, you can. That is optional. Bring your right hand behind you. Bring your left hand to your knee. I want you to inhale, lift up through the crown. Exhale, push on the hand behind you and the knee to get your twist. Look over your right shoulder. Breathe while you are in your twist. Feel that side lung move, side rib move. On your next inhale, release, come through your center. Switch sides. Right hand to left knee, left hand behind you. Inhale, lift up tall. Exhale, press into your twist. Look over your left shoulder. Big full breath. Feel the lungs inflate, moving the chest inside rib cage out. And releasing as you exhale. Inhale, lift through center now with our breath. Press in your twist with your exhale. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist. Again, inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Last one. And come back to center. Once you're back in center, I'm going to go back to my original cross. If you are already there, stay. If not, switch with me. We're going to do a little bit of a forward fold. So we're going to inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, relax the shoulders down. Inhale, lengthen through your crown. And then exhale, take the whole body forward as a unit. So you have a nice straight back. Bring your hands to the floor. Once they're anchored there, inhale, lift up, get a slight tuck to the chin. And then exhale, see if you can walk your hands forward, bring in your torso closer to your legs. Make sure you're not rounding your upper back, right? This isn't a cat-cow. We want to have a lifted, elongated spine as we try to make our way forward. This focuses the stretch into our hip. Each breath takes you long through the spine. The inhale of the breath and the exhale takes you deeper into the pose. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, we deepen. Two more breaths to get deeper in there. And then gently come up on your next inhale. You're going to bring your hands behind you, tenting the fingers. Tenting the fingers just means you put your fingers down, your palm is up. Pull the elbows back, press the chest forward, tuck your chin. It's a gentle, gentle stretch, so don't expect a whole lot to happen here. It's just a nice, gentle opposite movement for that shoulder. And release. We're crossing the legs one more time. From here, we're going to inhale the arms up once again. Exhale, hinge forward. Come forward with a straight lifted back. Bring the hands down because we kind of run out of space in the hip. Lengthen through your inhale. Deepen through your exhale. Inhale, nice long straight spine. Exhale, try to fold at the hip joint. Don't round through the back. Taking our time to get into the stretch. Using our breath to very gently deepen into the fold is all we need. Forcing, shoving is not going to get us the stretch we need. We just need to ease into it. Giving the body an opportunity to adjust to the request and produce the stretch. On your next inhale, take yourself up. And then we're going to move to Baddha Konasana. Baddha Konasana, we bring the knees out and the bottom of the feet come together. So with the bottom of the feet together, you can hold on to your toes. Now, a lot of times you're really tight. This is hard to do, right? So you can bring the feet further away. And honestly, if you want to bring the legs all the way out because that's more comfortable, that's fine. If you need to sit on a blanket, that's fine. Don't let someone tell you what you have to do. What we're looking for is a lifted spine. Where do your legs need to be to have that lifted spine? If you can hold on to your toes, that's great. That's pretty flexible. Most of us need to hold on to our legs. Some of us need to put our hands behind our back, right? And that's just to keep that tall, straight spine. So wherever your hands are, we're going to inhale, lift up tall. Exhale, we're going to shake our legs. So just flap the wings wherever you're holding. Flap the wings just up and down. Then we're going to inhale, release the flap. Exhale, push the legs down with the strength in your legs. Do not push with your hands. You're looking for the strength in the legs to pull the legs closer to the floor. And then relax, shake them again, or flap your wings again. All right, relax that. We're going to inhale, lift up through the spine, and now we're going to exhale, pull ourselves forward. So remember, you can hold on to the legs. You can put the hands behind you, whatever allows you to come forward with your lifted spine. And then once you're in that as deep as your body can go naturally, you inhale, lengthen, exhale, deepen. All we want to feel is the stretch in our hip. All right, if you're feeling it in your upper back, you're probably rounding. So pull the shoulder points back, keep the chest lifted, pull the belly in. And then from there, we try to hinge from the hip. And then gently release up. Let's bring the legs out straight, staff position, feet are flexed, sitting up nice and tall. Now I like to rock side to side to get grounded into the mat. This is another one of those poses where the feet are up. Watch them going out, watch them folding in. We want to lift up nice and tall, hands by your sides. Exhale, folding at the hip joint, an entire straight forward press with the lifted spine. We come forward. Now this is an ego buster, this one. We're going to inhale, lift through the spine, slight tuck to the chin. It's like you're holding an orange underneath your chin. And then we're going to exhale and try to go deeper. You're just looking for that inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fold. I'm just turning to the side. You stay in the fold. The reason is a lot of times what people do is when they want to go forward and you kind of run the end here to make yourself feel like you're stretching further, we tend to round, right? And there's no additional stretch. In fact, we went into sort of that cat-cow. We went into the cat position. So we want to come back into this lifted spot. And we're just trying to bring the torso forward with a straight back. One more breath in this forward fold. And and then gently lift yourself up. Janu Shavasana. I want you to bring your right leg in. Make sure you don't change where your hips are. So don't pull this into your hip crease, shifting, right? So both legs are even. You're just folding one leg out of the way. So the right leg is going out of the way. Again, the leg can be set out wide. We just want it out of the way so we can focus on the stretch on the extended leg. So in this particular Janu Shavasana, your left leg is forward. So we're going to inhale, lift up nice and tall. And then we're going to exhale, come forward. All right, so once you're forward, the same thing happens. We use that breath as a wave to inhale, lift, and then exhale, deepen. Now in a traditional yoga class, everyone brings their arms up and comes forward. And the reason I don't do that in the Yoga for Flexibility classes is because it makes people think it's more about the upper body, and then we tend to round. And I want you to focus on what's happening here in the hip. We're lifted through the spine, we're open through the chest, and that whole unit is coming forward. We're using our breath to gently deepen within the stretch. One more breath here. And then you're going to gently walk yourself up. Once you're up, we'll switch legs. Janu Shavasana with the right leg extended and the left leg bent. Once you tuck your left foot into your right thigh, you're still facing towards that extended right leg. You're going to inhale, lift up nice and tall, and then exhale, hinge forward at the hip. And then we're going to use that breathing wave. We're going to inhale, lengthen, tucking the chin. Exhale, we're going to deepen the stretch. Two more breaths in the side. Last breath. On your inhale, take it up. Once you're up, bring your left leg back out, back into that staff position, sitting up nice and tall. Hands to the side. Inhale, lift. You're either pressing to get that lift to maintain, starting at that pelvis, it's in that neutral position. If you have that, you're going to try to come forward, tipping the pelvis forward into that interior pelvic tilt. Inhale, lift up, tuck the chin, exhale, deepen. Now this is where straps are really helpful. If you're going to use a strap, you're using it to help you get lifted, not just to pull in, right? So don't put a lot of effort in pulling yourself in. You use it to help lift up tall, and then you press in with your own might. You're just using this to help anchor and lift up tall, right? Because if you pull too much, you're going to create tension in your upper back that we don't need. And all we want is a nice stretch in our hamstring. One more breath here. And then gently walk it back up on your next inhale. So this next position is we're going to take it wide. So you're only going as wide as you can go comfortably, right? So if the outside edges of your hips start to fire, you're too wide. You don't need to go that far. So sitting up nice and tall, same thing. Where's your pelvis? If it's tipped back, you're in that cow position. We want it neutral. And then from here, we're not going into a cat position. I'm sorry, this would be cat. This would be neutral. We're trying to tip it forward with that straight body. And it does limit how far down you can go. So that's what I meant by it messes with your ego. Because we want to look really flexible, and we're not here to look flexible, we're here to get flexible. So lift up tall through your spine, slight tuck to the chin, and then bring the entire torso forward. Your hands are down just to find an anchor. If you can get your elbows to the floor, that's fine. If you're so close but not quite, you can put your blocks down as long as you're not rounded. And you keep pressing. So the goal here is, do you feel a stretch in your inner thigh and hamstring? You want the answer to be yes. You don't want to feel it in your upper back or your neck. Use your breath to deepen within the pose. It's subtle, it's gentle. One more big breath here. And then gently walk yourself up. All right, from here, we're gonna go to a 90-90. So we're gonna bend our right leg in, and then we're gonna rotate our back leg down. So 90-degree angles is what we're looking for. You could either face to the side or face directly to me, and you would basically look like so. So if your mat is facing towards me, you would be in this shape on your mat. I'm turning sideways, so I'm facing towards my right knee. Bring your hands down onto the floor. Just make sure this knee isn't tucked in, they're not on top of each other. Make sure this guy isn't tucked in too much. You want the leg out. So think approximately 90 degrees, give or take. With the hands on the mat, we're going to inhale, lift the spine, and we're going to start to walk behind. So I'm actually going to turn and face you again. You're going to walk behind your right knee towards your hip. And you're sort of at the end of your twist. You're going to lengthen through your spine. You're going to lower yourself as if you were doing a push-up. You're going to come back up because that was like the easiest push-up ever. But then you're going to try to see if you can twist again. It might not be a big step. Then you're going to lower again. You're going to come back up and see if you've got one more twist. One hand comes in, other hand comes in. Hold the twist if that felt good. Breathe here. And then gently walk it back facing the knee. We're simply going to switch who's in front. So you're going to take the left leg, bring it around 90 degree, and bend the back leg behind you. So now you have 90-90 on this side. All right, your hands come down in front of your left knee, lift up through your spine. Start walking to your hip. You're going to go until you sort of find the end of your range of motion on your twist. Nothing hurts, just feels like a stretch. You're going to lower, press yourself back up, and see if you got room for a twist. 1 and 2. Got room? Lower yourself down. Press yourself back up and see if you have one more twist in you, and then hold it. Gently come back to the center, and from here we'll move into our table position. So we're going to come into our table position. Doesn't matter which way you face, as long as your legs can come off the mat easily. Once you're in your table position, we're going to move through some cat-cows. So we're going to inhale, let the belly drop as you arch the back, bring the gaze up. When you exhale, round through your upper back, let your head hang heavy. Inhale, move through your cow. Exhale, push through your cat. 2 more. And finishing with your cat, hold your neutral spine. We're going to bring your right arm out to the side. Inhale the fingers to the sky. Exhale, thread your needle. Come all the way through. Lower to your right side of your head and shoulder and push your hips so they're stacked over your knees. Press into your left hand to help engage the stretch. Hold your twist. You're going to press into your left hand, push yourself back up, and then rotate your fingers back to the sky. Come back to your table, reset it, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Left arm comes out, inhale your fingers to the sky, exhale, thread your needle. Lower all the way down, press into your right hand, stack your hips, and breathe. push into your right hand, lift yourself up. Once you're up, bring your fingers back to the sky and come back to table. Make sure your hands are open, like you're asking for 5 of something, so not relaxed, right? Open. Push away from the mat gently. Try not to lock out your elbows. Keep a little gentleness to it. Well, we're going to get ready for some hip and inner thigh stretches. So we're going to work first on an inner thigh stretch. So you're going to bring your leg out to the side, doesn't matter which, because we're going to do both. You're going to push your hip down. So if you have to walk your foot out, your foot is flat, your toes go towards the points towards the same direction the crown of your head is pointing. Now in this position with your hip dropped down, you feel a stretch in your inner thigh. From here, we're going to sit back and come forward. Sit back and come forward. So at the start, we have a light stretch, but when we sit back, the stretch gets really deep. We're in that lighter stretch, enter that deeper stretch. Your back foot can be flat, you can curl your toes, whatever works for you. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on that, and your opinion is good. All right, so whatever you choose, you do. Last time, we'll sit back and then come up. All right, let's switch sides. You can stay facing the same direction. I'm going to turn so that my foot is not hidden behind my own torso. Bring that other leg out, doesn't matter. Make sure it's straight out to the side. Walk it out or shift it out so this hip comes down. You want to start in a stretch. So you feel your inner thigh getting a stretch. We're there. Softness through the elbows, push away from the mat. We want a good shoulder position. Go ahead and sit back, get into that deeper stretch, come back to that mild stretch. Ideally, your gaze is at the mat. If you have to look up at the screen, go for it, but try to get right back so that you're just moving back and forth. Nice and gentle, nothing fast. Make sure you're not lifting your hip up higher, the hip of the leg that's out, because then you'll lose your stretch at the top. This will be the last one. And then we're gently come back to table. Now this next pose that we're going to go to is a frog position. Now we're going to start frog together, and if you don't want to do frog, you can go into a wide-knee child's pose. If you watch my other videos, we started there. If not, I'm going to encourage you to try this. You might need extra support for your knees. If that's the case, you might want to get your blanket out. Here's what we're looking at. You're going sideways on your mat. You're going to walk to the edge of your mat. Your hands are off your mat. You're going to take your knees wide as they'll go comfortably, and then you're going to let your feet turn out. So my toes are facing to the front and back of my mat. My hips are stacked right over my knees. So from a side view, my hips are over my knees. I'm not dropping back. I'm not coming forward. Right over top of the knee. That's ideal. If you have to make a micro adjustment, make a micro adjustment. But if you shifted and got yourself to the floor, you went too low. So here we are in this wide position. Super wide, as wide as you can go. You feel the stretch. From there, you go straight down to your forearms. That's just going to take some pressure off your shoulders. From this position, try not to shift forward to get yourself lower. If you feel like your back is arching too much, you can take a block and put it underneath your lower rib cage. I wouldn't put it on the tender flesh of your belly. It's a little too much. And you're going to try to get as low as you can. So you're pushing your knees out to get deeper into the splits. You're letting the weight of your own hips bring you down. If you can bring your torso to the floor and rest your head to the side, that's wonderful. If you need to stay on your forearms, that's wonderful. You do you. We are going to be in this pose for a good bit of time. It can be very stressful to be in this position for a long time. If you are in a panic space, find a way to get out of that panic, right? So do you need to lift up a little? Do you need support underneath your torso? Do you need to come out of it and re-enter it? If you're going to come out of it, you're going to shoot forward onto your belly. Don't try to lift yourself out. You're in a very deep inner thigh stretch. You do not want to contract the muscles to come out, right? Not encouraged. As you relax your hips and the hips sink deeper into this position, sort of enjoy that. And I say that because this is not a completely enjoyable position. And I know I make fun of this pose in my yoga classes because the whole time we're doing frog, it's pretty awful. It's when we're done with frog that life is good. For two reasons. One, we're done. And second, the hips feel amazing. So if we can handle this pose a little while longer, I encourage you to sort of relax and breathe into it. Remember, if you got into it and you start to panic, you're too deep into the pose. Come out of it, start over, but don't go as deep into it. I'm going to make sure Mr. Otis doesn't kick me in the face. Keep breathing while we melt into this frog pose, Mendukasana. We're going to do 3 more breaths. Two more. It's our final breath in this pose. As we keep breathing deeply, we're going to shift forward onto our belly and then allow the legs to lengthen one at a time. There's no way to come out of this gracefully. So honestly, I don't even think you should try. I'm going to come out and come into a Vajrasana. This is tough for a lot of folks. If you want to sit in a cross-leg position, that's fine. We're just going to take a moment to just kind of regroup, think about our choices in life, and maybe pat ourselves on the back for giving that one a try. I will say that like most yoga and most stretching poses, the more you do it, the better you get at it. I don't know if they ever really get easy. It's just you get deeper into it. It's probably the same sensation from start to finish. I will say that when you do get a little wider out, there's less pressure on the knees, and the knee part of that gets to be a little less obnoxious. So if you hated that for the pressure on the knees, I get it. I get it. Use your props, use your blankets, pillows, whatever you need to make yourself as comfortable as possible. The benefits to the hip are so worth the time in that stretch. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is pigeon, half pigeon really. So we're gonna get into a tall plank. We're only here long enough to get into this pose. We're going to step into that tall plank. Your hands are on the outside edges of your mat. You're going to pull your right knee in right behind your wrist. It's on the outside edge of the mat. You're going to walk your foot over towards your opposite hand. Doesn't have to be parallel, but you're going to try to get it across. Once your back knee comes down, I want you to walk your foot back. Now, you have this external rotation on the hip and you feel a strong stretch. That's exactly where we want it. You're gently pressing your left hip down and you're coming to your forearms. Now, coming all the way down, for me, makes it a little easier on the shoulders. Some folks, you need blocks. Use your blocks. Sometimes coming down to your forearms on blocks is a lot more comfortable because you want to have that lifted, straight spine. You don't want to be in this position and then go into sort of that cat where you're hunked over. You want to be straight and then come down. So blocks are a wonderful way to get there with that straight spine versus rounding. Once you are down, especially if your forearms reach the floor, you want to find a place to rest your head. A lot of times people will drop their head down to rest it, and I want you to be dropping your torso down and then find a place to rest the head. That way the head's relatively a natural extension of the spine versus that deep drop. So you can use a block, multiple options for height, multiple options. You can even use your fists. Sometimes people will stack their fists. That gets you up pretty high, or a single fist. Remember, you're pressing your chest down and that determines where your head will go. If you can get your chest to the floor, your head can come to the floor. Nice full deep breaths. If you find that the stretch is starting to leave your hip and you're looking for more but you're already on the floor, I'm going to encourage you to come up, and I'm going to encourage you to try to bring your leg a little more parallel. Remember, it doesn't have to be parallel. It doesn't have to be parallel. It's not necessarily a goal, and it may not happen for a lot of us. But if you've lost the stretch and you're already on the floor, that's one option. And then you would come back down, pressing your left hip down, get into that stretch. Now it should be a little deeper in the hip. We're here for 3 more breaths. Final breath. And then we're going to gently press ourselves up. Once you're up, walk your hands in, and I want you to let your hips be heavy, so press your left hip down, lift your chest up if you can, a little stretch on your hip flexor, and then gently relax. We're going to bring the legs back, reset your area as we get ready to do the other side. I'm switching so that I have my stretching hip facing you. We're going to come into a tall plank, hands on the outside edge of the mat, lift up into your plank. Now your left knee comes up behind your left wrist. You're walking your foot behind your opposite hand, and then you're bringing your knee down. From there, you walk back. You want that position to shift, to rotate the hip. If you don't have a parallel leg in front of you, don't worry about it. You do want to make sure your knees aren't bothering you. And then come down. Now, I should have told you that if this does bother your knees, just roll to your hip, bend the knee into that 90-90. So you're going to have to forgive me for that. Forgive me that. I'm fairly new to YouTube, and so I haven't quite scripted things fully yet, but I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress, just like anyone in this world is. Remember, you're pressing your right hip down, you're lifting your chest up, and then you're finding a place to rest your head. Again, you're trying not to just drop your head down. You're trying to come down with the lifted spine, and then with the torso coming down, the head will rest on something. And that's just to keep the neck and head lifted at as natural a position as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. Pressing the right hip down just to engage that left hip for a nice stretch. And we'll be here for about 5 more breaths. We got 1 more big breath. And then we're going to gently press ourselves up, walk your hands in. We're going to lift our chest up, pull our core in, so pull the belly muscles in, press your right hip down, get a little hip flexor stretch. Make sure you don't have a relaxed belly because you'll kind of dump into your low back too much. When our core is engaged, your belly's pulled in, we support the low back better. And then gently release to your hip. Once you do, you swing your leg around and sit in that cross-leg position we started in. It's going to be a different shape for all of us. And we'll come to this final position. So, mainly hips we worked on, hamstrings, hips, just to get us ready. A little twist to get our back ready. So fairly intense. So if you felt this was intense, it is intense. It is a definite intermediate level. And I appreciate you taking the time to come visit me here on the mat. If you found this video in any way beneficial, please click subscribe. I would appreciate that. And leave me a comment. I'd love to hear